man. All right, all right, all right. What is going on, people? How you doing? How you doing? We back at it again with another video. Yeah, I feel like such a goddamn dork. Dude, my daughter's been playing this game up, bro. I probably shouldn't let her play it because a 14-year-old shouldn't be playing this game. Okay? We're gonna play some high on life and we're gonna listen to some news. Because I really feel like a bunch of you guys just like, hold up. A bunch of you guys just don't know what the fuck is going on in the news cycle right now. I had to listen to my voice back. It's a little loud. It's a little loud. Turn me down if you want. I don't give a fuck. All right. So a bunch of people, they just love this nigga Brandon Scott for some fucking reason. I really don't understand, bro. Like if you really just listen to the news or just look at the news and shit, you'll see why this man's a piece of shit. And it's been a bunch of mayors in Baltimore that are or were just pieces of shit. And I don't understand why. Like and the only reason I'm going live on Facebook is because I know a lot of you guys are from Baltimore. So I'm gonna put this on Facebook Live because you guys are here, and I'm gonna upload it to my YouTube. By the way, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's great. It's lit. You know, I'm trying to get to like 5,000 subscribers by the end of this month. And it's my birthday month, so you might as well subscribe because just say happy birthday to me. Just subscribe to the channel. And I'm not even gonna go live on here, but yeah, we're gonna play some high on life. And we're gonna listen to some news. Let's go. Ooh, see if I do this correctly. I've never done this really like this before. This is crazy. Bro, I feel like a real streamer now, dude. I'm like up there, dude. Like, let's go.
The union representing DPW and other city workers, AFSCME Local 44.
They overturned that election.
All right, let's see how loud that is. I need to check the. God damn it. I did it too late. Am I fucked up? What is this? What is the sound that's coming from this mic, bro? All right. Let's see. Oh, no, you got 0 viewers. Whatever. Let's go back.
Without notice or an opportunity to be heard.
I'm going in depth on the
Ain't nothing else playing, so I think we're good. I think we're good. Let's go.
battle over union leadership and why some are trying to make
half
a
the
change.
volume.
Plus,
Yeah, that's good. All right, let's go. It's about Brandon Scott and his bullshit ass fucking how corrupt he is. Let's do it.
ongoing feud between Baltimore's mayor and city state's attorney.
You're hiding the ball from your teammate.
How Mayor Scott is responding to Ivan Bates's transparency concerns about Monzi as Bates distanced himself from the mayor's crime-fighting strategy.
Thank you.
you for joining us for this week's edition of Fox 45 News in Depth. I'm Mackenzie Frost. Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates has announced he's cutting ties with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, or MONSE. That announcement sparking a renewed debate over the city's crime fight between Bates and Mayor Brandon Scott. In a series of letters, Bates and Scott going back and forth about MONSE. Bates claims the program operates behind a, quote, cloak of secrecy, while the mayor says MONSE isn't hiding anything. A flurry of letters are flying back and forth between Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates and Mayor Brandon Scott. The issue stems from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, or MONSE. For months, Bates has raised concerns with some of the programs.
Bro, this is this is what happened after the fucking High on Life one. Kita, this is High on Life too. That's what this is. But we're also listening to news about what's his name? Um your favorite mayor, Brandon Scott. Your favorite is Mayor Brandon Scott. That's what we're listening to.
MONSE operates, including Safe Streets and a previously operating pilot youth diversion effort, Sidestep. On December 2nd, Bates penned this 7-page letter obtained by Fox 45 News through a public records request, telling Mayor Scott he intends to cut ties with MONSE, an agency he says is cloaked in secrecy. Bates says his office has been kept in the dark about assistance MONSE offers to victims and witnesses, which can lead to complication.
So it's interfering with their ability to just do their day-to-day job.
Jeremy Eldridge is a Baltimore area attorney. He says Bates is concerned.
Kita, you never played High on Life? That's crazy. I knew it. See, this video, this live was just for you, Kita, because you keep on saying that this man is so great, that Brandon Scott is so fucking excellent. Let's go. What's your favorite Brad Pitt film? I love my knife. You saying this man is so excellent, but this man is trash, dude. He's so corrupt, bro. I need you to listen to this. Like, don't even listen to me. Okay, if you don't listen to me, that's fine. Listen to this listen to the news reports, bro. That's all I want. News reports.
Prosecutor's office can impact cases because defense teams need to know that information.
The issue here is not whether victims of crime should be compensated with things like restitution. The issue is how it's done. Is it being done in conjunction with the state's attorney's office so that you don't interfere with the prosecutor's ability to prosecute that victim's case? That's the issue.
When Mayor Scott says he got the letter,
I'm actually really shocked that I got that letter because I thought that there had been a turning point. And
Bro, I don't care about Trump, bro. Like, for real. Like, when it comes to local elections, at least I know, like, where my money is directly going to. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's the federal government gonna take that shit no matter what, right? But if it's local elections, if it's the local government, bro, and I can see you, if I can see you, bro, and you taking my fucking money, is a problem. Like, if I see you driving around in an Escalade in my goddamn city, it's a fucking problem. Like, the president, all right, the president gonna spend money wherever the president spend money, but nigga, I might run up on you if I see you spending my taxpayer money on some bullshit. That's the only problem. But yeah, this is High on Life too. You ain't never played High on Life, right? One? That shit was great. It's from the creators of Rick and Morty. It's fucking great.
I hope that there still has been.
and we asked him about some of Bates's concerns. Did you know that MONSE was offering incentives to victims and witnesses of crimes without revealing that information to the state's attorney's office?
When you talk about victim services, let me just say this. My priority is making sure that folks who need services receive them. We're not hiding information from the state's attorney's office about victims for cases that I just want folks to know this, that follow the normal process for SAO and BPD and MONSE only steps in when BPD and the state's attorney's office victims are unable to.
Mayor Scott sent a response to Bates, which Fox 45 News obtained again through a public records request. The mayor urging Bates to reconsider severing coordination with MONSE, noting the progress.
See, and the whole problem is that this is what it is not Brandon Scott, Ivan Bates was lowering the crime rate in Baltimore by going after like repeat criminals and shit. But Monty and all that shit, they were hiding information for him to prosecute, for them to prosecute more criminals. So all the stuff, like they were saying, like the fucking victim impacts and shit like that, and all the criminals that were coming in to do the what is it, the social service shit, all that shit. They were hiding their information, so they couldn't prosecute more criminals like the repeat offenders. They couldn't prosecute. That's what was happening. That's true. It is a huge difference between Baltimore County and Baltimore City.
Progress the city has made in reducing violent
But I'm in a city, nigga, so
crime. The Group Violence Reduction Strategy, or GVRS, is part of the mayor's crime plan. In his letter, Mayor Scott talks about the plans to scale it citywide. Wednesday.
Today, we had our GVRS strategic management team meeting, as they do every other week. It's unfortunate the state's attorney's office was not there, but other partners were. And while we are in a better position than we've ever been with public safety, I will not allow anything to distract us from that work.
Mayor Scott says keeping Bates' office involved in GVRS is crucial, especially as he prepares to expand. But Bates maintains GVRS cases make up less than 5% of the cases his office prosecutes every year. Bates firing back in a response to the mayor, saying he recognizes the role of collaboration and the shared goal of reducing violence. However, he says the mayor did not address his core concerns, adding, "It appears from your response that you do not fully appreciate the gravity of the issues that have been created by MONSE that were raised in my original letter."
Why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medication? It comes
because I ain't got no dick, nigga.
Stimulation starts in the
The state's attorney's office has an ethical responsibility to victims, witnesses, and defendants, according to Bates, that MONSE does not. Bates adds the public defender's office has been notified of possible gaps in discovery due to information about victims that MONSE has not shared with the state's attorney's office.
Anytime that the state's attorney's office feels as though they're not able to comply with the discovery, so much so that they're reaching out to the Office of the Public Defender to let them know that there's an issue, we have a serious problem. The mayor's office should have coordinated with the state's attorney's office. That was a mistake on their part.
But Bates also takes issue with the city's pilot program that right now is not operational anymore. It was to divert young offenders, and it's called Sidestep. He argues kids are being kept out of court without victim input, diversion decisions are not being made by attorneys, and some kids were paid to participate by organizations running the pilot. MONSE also did not share the names of the participants, Bates argues.
Oh, gosh. What is your sister getting herself into?
Things are getting a little...
The person who's involved and in charge of the criminal justice system in terms of Baltimore City, you don't want to share that information. You're hiding the ball from your team.
The mayor's office says they are prevented from doing so by state law. Mayor Scott says the payments or incentives was not part.
Why can't I hear this shit? That's wild. I can't hear this shit. I gotta do some fucking tuning real quick. There we go. There we go. Hey, now we got this shit going on. Yeah, we just gotta get lower. Hey, bro, I'm becoming a fucking streamer, dude. I'm learning this shit on my own, my guy, bro, my dude. We getting this shit going. That's crazy. Hold on, let me see if I can hear it on this stream. That's crazy. Nope, can't hear it on it. Hold up. There we go. Now you can hear it. Let's go. Just had to make sure. There's a high problem with repeat offenders still walking free. Internet channel. Hey, I feel you. I ain't gonna lie, I feel you. Like this just crazy. But I'm just saying, this nigga's pretty sus. I ain't gonna lie, this nigga's pretty sus. In my opinion, this nigga's pretty sus.
Part of the pilot. While Aldridge says diversion programs are important,
It's a very useful tool.
he says victims must be involved.
The problem is when you're not including the victim in the process, the biggest thing you're depriving the victim from under the Victims' Rights Statute is their ability to voice their opinion.
Fuck you,
The
nigga.
timing of Bates's first letter has raised questions since he's running for re-election next year. But Eldridge argues the ballot box is not what Bates is fighting for with this.
I don't think this issue is political at all. I think it's about safeguarding the sacrosanct criminal justice system that needs protection.
I'm the most non-sus nigga there is.
Ultimately, both Mayor Scott and State's Attorney Bates say they are willing to find a path to move forward. But the issues with transparency and communication surrounding Monzi appear significant. The two say they're willing to meet, but a date has yet to be set before the end of the year. Mayor Scott created Monzi 5 years ago in December of 2020. There have been questions about transparency within the office nearly that entire time. Shante Jackson was the first Monzi director. I tried to
Can't be racist, I'm black.
ask her about the Safe Streets program many times. I've also asked for a sit-down interview. Jackson walked away from our questions more often than not and refused to agree to an interview.
The nigga knows. I
We're
thought
not
that nigga
talking
was
about
that.
cherry picking numbers. Let's make sure we don't report that, okay?
Okay. Director Jackson, can I ask you a couple of questions?
I think the mayor said meet us at the next event.
Are you going to the next event?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Director Jackson, can
No,
you,
thank you.
explain a little bit more about
thank you.
Roca?
Oh yeah, and Kita, you know, the ads are curated to your needs. So, what does that say about my needs, bro? Like, what the fuck?
When can we learn more about Safe Streets? Ivan Bates isn't the only one who has had hard time getting information from Monzi. Stephanie Mavronis is the current director of Monzi. She often refuses to hand over details and materials surrounding the program, both to us and city council members.
Whatever data was provided to Hopkins or whoever did that study, can you provide that same raw data to the council?
We would need to look into that and get back to you. I think the reason we intentionally provide aggregate level data is because of some of the privacy and sensitive information that we referenced earlier.
The public can see those logs?
Those are not.
Bro, and not only did they not provide the data for Monchi, they also didn't provide the financial documents that was recommended from the auditor of the mayoral office. So no, they provided the documents, but they redacted everything like the Epstein files, bro.
not public law.
Eating disorder, bro. Nah, not an eating disorder. Erectile dysfunction.
No.
Why?
These are logs that are being used over the course of someone's work to log what they're doing throughout the day.
Bro, I fucking hate like when you're doing tutorials and they make you walk slow as shit. Now I can finally run.
These are also not documents that I am the owner of.
This might be the only delivery service that actually feels chef made, because it is. This is Cook Unity, and if you're someone that
Joining me now to take a closer look at Monzi is taxpayer advocate David Williams. David, thanks so much for joining us. We have talked over the years significantly about Monzi, transparency, and how the city agency is spending tax dollars. Let's start with some of the transparency concerns. What do you believe is the biggest issue here, given what we're hearing from the state's attorney's office when it comes to information sharing?
Good evening, and this is very disturbing. And really going back to the clip you played of Shantae Jackson, this is a public servant who is making a lot of money and refusing to answer questions. That's problematic. And when you have the state's attorney, Ivan Bates, coming out with a 7-page letter saying there's secrecy, a veil of secrecy, that is very concerning. Here is a gentleman who obviously has had a great impact on crime in Baltimore City, and for him to have
Yo, let's not. All right, so Ivan Bates, like people claim that Brandon Scott was the person that brought down crime in Baltimore City. It's not true. It's just not true. Ivan Bates is the man that brought down. I got distracted real quick. Ivan Bates is the man that brought down the crime in Baltimore City because he had a no nonsense approach with crime in the city. So that's why the crime rate went down, because he kept going after repeating offenders and not giving them fucking chances and shit like that. So whenever you hear somebody say Brandon Scott brought down fucking crime, it's not true, my guy. It's just not true.
these concerns, I think everyone should be paying attention to. And of course, Monzi is taxpayer funded, Safe Streets is taxpayer funded. So there has to be 100% transparency, 100% accountability. And Monzi has never had that. Safe Streets has never had that. So there are a lot of issues.
You know, in the response to the first letter, Mayor Brandon Scott argues that Safe Streets has been transparent when it comes to oversight with how the money has been spent. He says Monzi sits before the city council when it comes to budget questions. But do you believe that the public really has a full understanding and a detailed breakdown of where the money is going?
I really don't believe that
The thing is, Keita, like Ivan Bates was a fan of Brandon Scott. At first he was like, yeah, let's work together, let's bring down crime rates and stuff like that. So he was a fan of him. Like they were working together at first. But then with all the extra shit, all the fucking sketchy shit that Brandon been doing, he been hiding a lot of shit. Like with all his social initiatives, he's been hiding the finances from Ivan Bates. So Ivan Bates was like, "Yo, I'm gonna stop working with you because you're hiding all this shit. I can't see anything." So that's where the sketchiness comes through, and that's where the second video they go more in depth with all the fucking sketchy shit he been doing with the money. Like he was giving money to his wife's organization that don't exist. Basically, they get he gave Brandon Scott gave his wife money to like open a bunch of shit. She never opened it, like 100 and something thousand dollars. She never opened the shit, and he just redacted a bunch of fucking files, just like the Epstein files. It's sketchy, bro. It's sketchy.
Public knows exactly where the money is going. And part of the problem is that the money is going to nonprofits, and nonprofits.
Yeah, just like he just said, like a bunch of nonprofits, and then they hide what is actually being spent. So that's the sketchy shit. And it's a bunch of our money. Like it's not like if federal shit is like, all right, cool, whatever. All right. That shit is still sketchy. But then when it's local, when when you can like see the nigga around your city, like you ain't never gonna see the president, you ain't never gonna see the motherfuckers in the FDA or the FCC or any of these three like three-letter organizations. You ain't never gonna see them around your city. But if you see this nigga driving in a fucking $150,000 vehicle, right? He's gonna it's gonna hit you a little different. You know what I'm saying?
Are less transparent than even the city. I know that's a pretty big statement, right? Because the city is not transparent. But when you are giving money to a nonprofit, they don't have to record details of their expenditures. And therein lies the problem: is that a few years ago they were buying sneakers, they were buying video games, and it took some deep dive investigation to find that out. This was not publicly available information until we found it out through a deep dive investigation, and that's very concerning. And Monzi, their budget is growing, and they're getting federal relief money of $50 million, and their staff is growing, their footprint is growing. And that's why I think it's important that Ivan Bates did this now and said, okay, we need to stop this. And I got to tell you, there's a carrot and a stick when it comes to Monzi or any city agency, and the stick has to be the funding. You really have to look at the funding and say, okay, we are not going to fund this program or these projects until we know exactly where the money is going. Now, of course, the Board of Estimates has to get involved and the mayor has to make a lot of those calls. But I think that's the next step here, is to freeze funding until this veil of secrecy is lifted, either from the state's attorney's office or for taxpayers.
Well, that's interesting because we know that next year, obviously during the budgeting season, when the city council members will have the opportunity to talk about this, and with the end of the federal COVID era money, the conversation about institutionalizing, as the mayor's office often says, the Monzi programs will have to come up, and what that looks like. Is this an opportunity for the council members to really demand some answers about how the programs are being funded and what Monzi is doing with that money, if the general fund is looked at as a way to fund this?
It absolutely is. And you talk about next year, but my concern is 5 years, 10 years down the road, when this program and these projects have been institutionalized and you have the spending continue after the federal relief money has gone dry.
This nigga,
So I
arm's still
think that's what
moving.
the city and the city council and the Board of Estimates, they need to look at 5, 10, 15 years down the road and what this is going to mean to the city financially, and really the drag it's going to be, because we've seen that, they want to expand their staff, I think up to 45 people. They've talked about hiring a lot of people for Monzi and Safe Street, so it's a huge concern for taxpayers.
All right, David Williams, always appreciate your insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Over the years, Mayor Scott and City State's Attorney Ivan Bates have repeatedly feuded largely over how to address public safety. One of Bates' main initiatives as the city's top prosecutor was a citation docket to enforce consequences for quality of life crimes. But last year, Bates told Fox 45 News he believed the mayor was telling Baltimore police not to participate in the citation docket. Bates said he spoke with Scott at a Ravens game about the citation docket, later clarifying it was actually a Coppin State game. But Mayor Scott denied that conversation ever happened.
This game, you're not.
See, somebody's got to be lying, right?
I remember my
Someone.
daughter ran up to him and gave him a hug, and I.
So someone is lying right here. Like, if it happened or it didn't happen, who's lying? Who knows? Did I? How the fuck you know I got a message on my phone? Unless you sent it. I don't know how to listen to this shit. Oh, my fucking. No, for real. Like, shit's crazy, right? Shit's crazy, Keita. Shit's crazy. Not going to reveal my source. It's like, it's just hilarious. Nah, but that shit is crazy, right? Like, you legit, like, never know. You never know.
Gripped me up, I said, hey, I really need your officers to enforce these citations. I got you, Ivan, I got you. I'll talk to Worley.
You say in a meeting, or you say when you see me somewhere, I need them to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z. If you don't do that, and the very first time that we hear about the issue is my political opponent bringing it up, then that lets you know what.
See, and this is why I don't get. It's not really your political opponent bringing it up. Ivan Bates isn't your political opponent. So how are you saying that he's your political opponent? He's the state's attorney, bro. He should be your ally. Why are you working against him? Why are you not sharing all of the information that you have with him to get criminals off the street?
The issue is, and it's simply about politics.
Then, right before the primary election, Mayor Scott announced he was expanding the city's group violence reduction strategy. He claimed the decision was based on data, while Bates argued GVRS is not a major part of the crime fight.
I don't play politics with public safety. Other folks might choose to do that. You might choose to do that. I'm not. We expand GVRS based on the data, the connectivity of the groups. And when you
Yo, and that's another thing. He said, we expand because of the data. This nigga, the mayoral office was spending $5 million on staffing, right? They went from 5 million to $26 million, bro. $26 million budget. How the fuck do you do that? And that's not everybody. A bunch of people think that taxpayer money is just taxpayer money. Like, no, they think government money is just government money. Like, it comes out of nowhere, bro. That's your pockets, bro. That's your pockets. And then you got the governor Moore. You got Governor Moore saying, "Oh yeah, I don't know where the budget, the budget." Like, nigga, what? That's where your budget's going to, nigga.
understand and know public safety in Baltimore, but more importantly, the streets of Baltimore, anybody will tell you once you've done the west side, the east side is where you have to go. GVRS is the mayor, the state attorney, police commissioner, and Monty.
The mayor has touted over and over and over and over again, GVRS, GVRS, GVRS. GVRS is only 2% of the violent crimes that my office prosecutes. Violent crime, we're moving in that direction. However, like I said, when it gets to quality of life crime. So yeah, our greatest.
And this is why I was saying before. Like, everybody says Brandon Scott is the reason that the crime rate went down. It's talking about GBRS. That's a little program that Brandon Scott started. And Brandon Scott is trying to say that GBRS is the reason why the crime rate went down. But that's not it. He's at what, 5%?
Like I said, when it gets to quality of life crime. So yeah, our grade is incomplete because we haven't done the rest. Quality of life crime, we're moving in that direction. However, like I said, when it gets, GVRS is only 2% of the violent crimes that my
GVRS is only 2% of the crime that his office prosecutes. 2%. So when people say, "Oh, Mayor Scott is the reason crime's down," no, it's not. It's because of Ivan Bates. And let me tell you, when a no-nonsense prosecutor says that someone's doing something sketchy, you better listen up, bro.
office prosecutes violent crime. We're moving in that direction. However, like I said, when it gets to quality of life crime. So yeah, our grade is incomplete because we haven't done the rest of the work.
Bates endorsed former Mayor Sheila Dixon in the Democratic primary against Mayor Scott, given the back and forth over
I don't like that. Fuck Sheila Dixon. Fuck her too.
public safety policy. I asked Mayor Scott whether he will support Bates's re-election effort. After Bates announced last month he'll seek another term.
would you describe the working relationship that you have with the state's attorney? And at this point, are you supporting him in his effort for re-election?
Well, he hasn't asked me about that yet, so that's a conversation that I had to have with him first. But I just said it very clearly. You don't hear the state's attorney's office complaining about, if we heard this in the past, about the quality of cases that the police department is bringing to them at my direction. We work every day together, and we'll continue to do that because, as I've said time and time again, Mackenzie, I do not play.
You missed what I was saying before. Basically, it's just that Brandon Scott was saying that he's the reason that crime went down because of his little GVRS program, but GVRS is only 2% of the crimes that Ivan Bates prosecutes. So it's not GVRS that's lowering crime. It's something else. I got your other message. I ain't missing them. I know that though. I know that. GVRS is just a little program that Brandon Scott made to lower crime. Basically. Basically, that's all it is.
Politics of public safety.
This week, we asked if you share Bates' concerns about Monzi. We'll take a look at some of your responses coming up later in our show.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Who's going to be our first ever next level
about Mount Jaro?
Ronald Silver, the DPW worker who died on the job, and Stancil McNair's lawyer.
Yeah, that's not what we're here for. We're here for Brandon Scott. Let's go. Where's that other video that I was looking for? By the way, while I'm trying to look for this video, just do a little like and subscribe, Go to my fucking YouTube channel, Iceman Heat Boy. It's great because this is just fucking Facebook or whatever. Facebook sucks. I should have just went live on YouTube. I'm glad you're here, Kita. It's fucking great. I can't find this fucking video, dude. Where is this video? Let's see. That should be enough. There we go.
Tax dollars on food, parties, and flowers.
Fox 45 News continues following a new Inspector General report putting spending in the mayor's office under the microscope.
All good, Kita.
Mayor Scott has.
All good, Kita. Thanks for joining. Yeah. Only one that listen. Only one that ever support whatever all my fucking YouTube shit that I know personally. You know, only one that be going to my YouTube and commenting and shit like that, sharing all my videos. So I honestly really appreciate that shit. No one else does it. Says a lot. All them motherfuckers that call themselves my friends and shit. Everybody want me to do shit for them. That's why I'm like, yo, Kita asks me for anything. She got it, man. She got it. I might be going on Mr. Beast Games next month. Shouting you out. Boom. Shouting the company out. Let's go.
Yet to face questions in person about the latest report until today. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost tracked him down and questioned him about the use of your tax dollars.
The mayor's office spent tens of thousands of tax dollars on food, parties, and flowers. And while the mayor says that nothing was done illegally, we're questioning him about if this really was an appropriate use of your money. The latest Inspector General report highlights how the mayor's office is spending some of your tax dollars from mid-2022 through November 2025. More than $4,300 on catered council meetings through a card and more than $10,000 through invoices. $167,000 in transactions without procurement waivers. In the city's suite at Camden Yards and M&T Bank Stadium, $52,000 in tax dollars were spent, plus nearly $4,000 on a going-away party for Marvin James, one of the mayor's longtime allies and aides, who never actually left City Hall. Taxpayers footed the bill for his bond.
Hey, man, I got you, Keita. I got you. I do it. Let me see. Let me think about that real quick. How long would I be prepared to go to jail for you? Okay. How long of a sentence? Let me think about that real quick. Cause I do some time for you. I ain't gonna lie, I do some time for you, but let me think about how long would that be. Let's see. I think I do 5. I think I do 5. I think I do 5 for you, Keita. Ain't any more than that. You're gonna see me walking out the police station with some Popeyes and some McDonald's and shit. Okay? Anything over 5, I'm like, oh man, that was some good piece of bowling. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shit, fuck that.
Voyage event that included $2,600 for crab balls, grilled salmon and other food, $217 for a cake, a balloon arch costing $324.
Bro, but listen, he spent 4K on a going away party, right? Going away party. The nigga ain't go nowhere. Bro, it's like when you think about the budget, the budget's like man, I forgot what the Baltimore budget. I think it's like 50 million something. It's something. But when you think about the actual budget versus what he spent, it doesn't seem like a lot, right? But you add all that up, and then you think about it being your money, right? This nigga is living lavishly, and you think that it's and you think about it being your money, that's when it starts hitting. That's when it starts hitting. I get it. I get it. It's light work. It's light money, right? For you because you rich. 'Cause for me, that's a lot of fucking money. But when I look at my taxes that I have to pay, and I see my taxes is going to this nigga doing this shit. Nah, it's just like the last mayor who spent like I think $10,000 on a fucking rug, on a fucking carpet or some shit like that. I'm like, nah, bro, nah, bro, nah, bro.
And nearly $400 on foam boards.
Yeah, but Bezos, he provides the service. You getting something for that money. It ain't just your tax money. You getting something from that too. You know? It ain't just like you giving this nigga. It ain't like you just giving Bezos your tax money and shit. You getting something from that.
With James's photo on it. Days after the OIG's report release, we pressed Mayor Scott Monday on how his office is spending tax dollars.
How do you expect taxpayers in Baltimore City to be okay with how your office is spending their money? And do you believe that you owe them an apology for how their dollars are being spent?
And thank you for your question, Mackenzie. I think we have to be very clear about this, right? We're not talking about money that was spent inappropriately. As I said to your station last week, we're talking about people who skip protocol points, right?
The mayor says some of the flower spending was for city employee funerals.
I know that the taxpayers have no problems with us spending that. And the things that are being highlighted, like for example, you guys are focusing in on like the skyboxes, right? The reality is that The city of Baltimore has been spending money on skyboxes at Camden Yard since I was 8 years old, and at M&T Bank Stadium since I was 13 years old.
While the mayor says the boxes.
Bro, and that's one thing this nigga does that I really fucking hates. He says because someone else does it, that means he should do it. This nigga literally said, if it's not illegal, I can do it. Like I can spend any amount of money that I want as long as it's not illegal, which is crazy work. That's crazy. Saying you can spend how much of the taxpayer money you want because it's not illegal. That's wild, bro.
Were used to celebrate city employees like teachers and the Department of Public Works employees. The IG report uncovering the spending was done during the same time frame when DPW solid waste workers lacked access to water and Gatorade during the summer months.
We're not talking about misuse of funds, and you're talking about a fraction of the mayor's office budget, even though folks are trying to make it look like this was something done illegal. This is not that. We're going to continue to operate the same way that we have in the city of Baltimore, and that's what.
Listen, Kita, I understand. I understand the good, like all the good parts of it, right? Like I understand, like you got a bunch of shit that's actually being funded. I understand that, but my point is, right, but I like I said, I understand that all of it is being funded. Like some good shit is being funded. And it is biased because I'm going from my perspective of how I see my my taxes being like distributed or how much taxes I pay to the fucking city. So when I see like he's spending money on skyboxes and shit, and I had a problem with this with all the mayors, and even though all of them were Democrats, like that's I'm a Republican, so it's all biased with me. But but I had a problem with all of them spending tax money because it's my fucking taxes. Like, there's no way that my federal taxes should be on par with my local taxes, my state taxes, or the city taxes, anything like that. Like, and then they're discussing the budget, and the budget is just way out of control, and then they wonder why the budget is just way out of control. We have two people in office that are just fucking going wild. We have Scott and Moore that are just going wild with the fucking the taxpayer spending. It's crazy. And I hate it. And I hate seeing these niggas just doing photo ops every other week. Like, oh look, we're out, we're out, we're out. We're out in the city just hanging with the people. I'm just like, all right, yeah, but last year you took fucking what? Like $10,000 out my checks. You took $10,000 away from me, right? And you want me to, and then you take $10,000 away from me out of my fucking check, and then you want me to give you, I mean, then you give me back like $300 on tax returns. It's crazy. It's crazy. And my thing about the yeah, Maryland governor is like, bro, my biggest, all right, I ain't gonna lie. My biggest thing about Maryland as a government is that they don't have gun rights. That's my biggest issue. They don't have self-defense. If a Democrat comes into office and if a Democrat becomes the governor of Maryland and says, "Hey, we're gonna loosen these self-defense laws," I'm gonna be like, "Yo, got my vote." You got my vote. You want to raise taxes? I don't give a fuck. You say self-defense laws are gonna be a little lightened. Got my vote, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Hey, how does he target your industry? I didn't know that. Yo, I can't get past this fucking fire, bro. Eh, eh, I can't do it. Oh shit.
With the utmost integrity, even when people try to make it like we're looking like we're doing the opposite. Thank
I
you.
got killed
We
by you
followed up with
niggas.
the mayor for more clarity. Do you believe, even if it's been going on, is that an appropriate use of taxpayer dollars? And then also, though, I know that your office spent nearly $4,000 on a goodbye party for somebody who never left and is still making almost $200,000. Why is that okay?
Yeah, I think, Mackenzie, we know that you guys want to make this out to be something that is not. Again, it's not just the city of Baltimore. The state of Maryland has skyboxes and have had them forever. And again, you're harping on this small amount of money, which you heard again. Nothing illegal was done here.
But is it
period.
appropriate?
Not if it's not illegal, then it's appropriate.
Do you think that's okay for
See, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean, bro? Like the nigga said, if it's not illegal, then it's appropriate. No, the fuck is not, bro. It is not. Yeah, yeah, bro. Like, yes, that's the thing. Like, in in one of his press conferences, Governor Moore was like, he was asked, "How you gonna balance the budget?" Right? Governor Moore was asked, "How you gonna balance the budget? You either gotta make cuts or raise taxes." He was like, "I'm not gonna do either one." And then the reporter was like, "What? How the fuck is that gonna happen? You gotta cut from somewhere, or you gotta raise taxes." He was like, "I'm not gonna do either one." This nigga did both, bro. He cut spending and he raised taxes, bro. And then what did they do? What did they do? They increased the fees for like registrations on your vehicles, like what 40% or some shit like that. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy. Oh yeah, he really said that shit. He said if it's not illegal, then it's appropriate. That nigga is crazy, bro.
Done here.
But is it
period.
appropriate?
Not if it's not illegal, then it's appropriate.
Do you think that's okay for tax dollars to be spent on it?
I think it's okay for us someone who has spent money to have young people who have never been in that stadium before, who have never gotten invited before, who would have never had the opportunity to be there to do that. For people, for first responders, for people who clean up trash, absolutely. So no matter what you guys are going to try to twist this into, absolutely, we're going to continue to make sure that actual residents can enjoy that ability to be in that spot and those skyboxes. That's all I have to say.
What
And
about Marvin's party?
just run what I said earlier. My response is what I gave you earlier.
Is Marvin's party okay? No comment on his aide's party, especially since James is still earning a $190,000 salary annually. In this report, the Inspector General also noted that the findings of this latest product would have been limited.
Yo, for real. Like, all right, yeah. His PR person is failing him miserably. Okay, like, bro, this shit's ridiculous, bro. I'm telling you, this shit is sketchy. This shit is sketchy. It's so sketchy.
Given the current restrictions the mayor's office has put on her office's.
Yeah, he can stand on business. His business is taking your tax dollars, motherfucker. I don't like that shit. I can't stand that shit.
Ability to get access to certain information. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
I'm
Thanks,
Mary
Mackenzie.
Bubala. Thank you for watching. Here's another.
I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna look at this other YouTuber real quick before I have to get out of here. This guy got a. This guy's got a. If you don't know this guy, then go follow your actual justice warrior. It's a great man, great man. It's pretty good, pretty good. So he had a good video on this.
you okay? Why aren't you doing anything? You're not actually considering killing me, are you?
There we go.
The only thing better than wearing a well-made gun belt.
Standing on business. Keita, you wild, bro.
As a part of a taxpayer-funded program. What he didn't mention was that one of those leaders he praised was his then girlfriend and now wife.
So look, it obviously should have been a red flag that you had Brandon Scott praising the beauty of the leadership of this nonprofit organization, this random.
A nonprofit tied to Mayor Brandon Scott's wife stopped operations after receiving roughly $100,000 taxpayer dollars.
Patrick Huff from our Spotlight on Maryland team investigates the unanswered questions about whether those taxpayer funds will be returned.
Spoiler alert, Baltimore taxpayers, you are not receiving a dime of that money back because Brandon Scott obviously was funneling that to his then secret girlfriend, then baby mama, now wife. And guess what? You're just going to have to deal with this because this is standard fare for the Democratic Party to run these nonprofit connected corruption schemes. Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Sean, and today we're going to talk about the recent scandal that Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott has fallen under, how, of course, the propaganda around him will help him obfuscate the consequences of this scandal. Perfect example of propaganda around Brandon Scott is that Channel 5 documentary, which I can't put in enough air quotes, where they make the case that Brandon Scott's social programs are what's behind the homicide drop in the city of Baltimore. Even though homicide did not drop when Brandon Scott ended up taking office, it actually dropped when they changed the district attorney from Marilyn Mosby to Ivan Bates 2 years.
Bro, this is what I've been saying, dude, bro. Like, I don't understand. Like, I know what it is, bro. I know what it is. It's because this dude is black and he's got a nice haircut. That's that's all it is, dude. He's black and he's got a nice haircut. That's why they voted for him. And he's got a D next to his name. He's a Democrat. So that's the only reason why people from Baltimore voted for this nigga.
Years later, and Ivan Bates started prosecuting repeat gun offenders, but because of all that positive PR, a lot of people are going to overlook this, even though this is clearly and obviously an issue of standard corruption that we see from Democratic Party officials. And by the way, the classic kind where you end up funneling money to the spouse or romantic partner, in this case, both of Brandon Scott, because she was a secret girlfriend, now wife, and it's absolutely absurd and ridiculous. But before we get into any of that, I want to thank everybody for funneling money over to me over at actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the.
Listen, Keita. Listen, Keita. You can like a motherfucker for standing on business, right? But you gotta be standing on good business, okay? You can't be standing on bad business.
Money. Give me the money. Okay?
The fabulous, phenomenal, brilliant, and beautiful women of Be More Empowered who are empowering. Yeah, let's clap. There we go.
That was Mayor Brandon Scott at a July 2023 press conference where he praised leaders of a nonprofit awarded $80,000 as a part of a taxpayer-funded program. What he didn't mention was that one of those leaders he praised was his then girlfriend and now wife.
So look, it obviously should have been a red flag that you had Brandon Scott praising the beauty of the leadership of this nonprofit organization, this random nonprofit organization that was not on the radar for the city of Baltimore prior to Brandon Scott taking office, but suddenly, due to his criminal...
No, you're right about that. Like, it really doesn't matter which party it is, like Democrat or Republican. It doesn't fucking matter, right? If they're corrupt, they're corrupt. Like, you should just point it out. Point it the fuck out. I don't care who it is. If my tax money is going to something that it shouldn't be going to, like parties, skyboxes, fucking luxury vehicles, point that shit out, no matter who it is.
Justice reforms, which, by the way, by the numbers, absolutely did not work, saw an influx in cash, but of course, that influx in cash is actually explainable now that we know the history and the timeline by the fact that Brandon Scott started dating somebody who is in a position of power on said nonprofit. So again, you guys get how this works. You're figuring out what's going down. Brandon Scott takes office, progressive reformer, gonna shift money away from bad things like policing and whatnot into these social programs. He starts dating a woman who runs one of these nonprofits or is in the leadership of them, and suddenly this nonprofit that, by the way, doesn't even do its tax filings starts getting your taxpayer money from multiple different sources.
Mrs. Scott started working as the director of operations for Be More Empowered in September 2021. She started dating the mayor in 2022. Her employer began to receive money through the Baltimore city government in 2023, totaling $34,950 taxpayer dollars by 2024.
Now look, I just want to point out something obvious for you guys out there in the audience, but if you ever needed a giant red flag for an organization that is set up to scam the woke idiots out there in the world, this is that perfect example. Because if you look at the logo, first of all, you have the misspelling. It's not BE more empowered, it's B the letter more empowered. But in addition to that, you have black hair featured and a hijab, as if to signal all the woke idiots, all the left-wing white progressives, that this is the organization to donate to because they respect black women hair, and even black women's that don't even have to show their hair or aren't allowed to show their hair because they are religiously Islamic. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that not something that is obvious and suspicious? Isn't this not the biggest red flag that you could possibly have? No, you're gonna let this go? How about the fact that they don't even file their tax filings? Again, absurd, ridiculous how many times this happens, and how many times it is often a connection between a romantic partner of the person who's in power and of the person who's getting the money. Remember when Cori Bush was doing something like this, where she hired her boyfriend, who she didn't disclose was her boyfriend, to run security for her, go on all these lavish trips as security for her, while at the same time employing a real separate security firm to do her actual security, only to reveal later that she was in fact dating that individual? Well, it's something like this, but on a Baltimore scale. And yeah, it's absurd, but you know, what are you gonna do besides point it out, and hopefully the voters will change their mind.
Listen, okay, listen. No, Keita. No, I would not. No. Not if I was a government official. If it was like I own a business and I just needed to, if I wanted to party a little bit or something, then that's something different. But me just spending taxpayer money, no. Or I find a, but I wouldn't, bro. Like, what the hell I look like spending taxpayer money on parties and shit? Like, no. Why? Like, for real, like if I was a government official, I ain't spending money. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. I'm cutting all programs, bro. Cutting all of them. Can't do it.
Which is not going to happen because, again, there's so much propaganda around Baltimore Mayor
Yo, I'm gonna
Brandon
die, bro.
Scott.
And that's not all. The Downtown Partnership of Baltimore awarded Be More Empowered $80,000 through a taxpayer-funded program in July 2023, a day before the Scotts went public with their relationship through a pregnancy announcement.
I mean, come on, guys. What are we even talking about here? How is this not obvious to everybody out there in the audience? One day before they announced that this lady was knocked up, and again, she works at this organization, they get their largest individual donation from the Baltimore City Council to the tune of $80,000. Now, of course, the payments were flowing all throughout this time. It took people a while to put the pieces together, but it's absolutely ridiculous and absurd that this can go on without being disclosed, that you could have a romantic interest in an organization that you're funneling taxpayer money to. You're actually having a child with that person who's in leadership at said organization, and we're all supposed to pretend like this is no big deal because, oh, Brandon Scott.
Oh, what's up? This video got like 14 minutes in it. Why? Huh? I can't give in to temptation with that, bro. Like, that's a responsibility. That's higher responsibility than I ever had, bro. Like, I can't do it. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. Mm-mm. Nope. 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 Not I, sir. Not I.
He's having a baby, isn't that sweet? And also, none of these programs are actually reducing crime. Ivan Bates is, but we're gonna pretend like these reforms are reducing crime, and we'll go get the propagandists over at Channel 4, Channel 5, whatever the hell that stupid ass channel is called, in order to defend and basically run cover and make a propaganda narrative, a campaign video on behalf of Brandon Scott.
The taxpayer-backed Baltimore Children and Youth Fund sent Be More Empowered $62,500 from July
Bro, I
2023
forgot
to
I
June
could dodge, bro.
2024. Meanwhile, Be More Empowered has not filed a tax form since 2023, meaning it's almost a year behind its required filings with the IRS. And none of its previous tax forms mention Mrs. Scott's position or salary. Plus, Be More Empowered is listed on the Maryland government's charity database as delinquent.
I mean, come on, guys, come on. This woman works at this organization. She is secretly dating Brendan Scott. She ends up getting knocked up by Brendan Scott, and it turns out on none of the filings, her salary is listed at that organization. And by the way, they're not up to date on their filings, and yet they're still receiving money, even though they are listed by the state of Maryland as delinquent. Thus, you should not be funneling money over to them because they're not doing the required disclosures of how they're spending all this funds. And again,
Yeah, it's wild, bro. But listen to that. Like they're delinquent on payments for their rent, right? How are you delinquent on payments when the government is providing the payments for you? How are you late on those payments? That's the thing. It's like, yo, it's so crazy because like people don't think about that shit. They are a nonprofit organization, so Baltimore City is giving them money, and then fake news, get the fuck out of here. Baltimore City is giving them money, and then they are doing what with it? Not paying the bills that they're supposed to be paying.
they have over $1 million. It is not crazy to say that Brendan Scott was also suggesting that private donors funnel money into this particular organization. And there's not really any explanation of what this group actually does because, spoiler alert, you never actually have to explain what a nonprofit is doing in the United States of America, as they happen to be just money sinks and sometimes taxpayer money sinks for the well-connected. And this is a perfect distillation of that concept.
So this one, it's a bit of a head scratcher.
Now look, I understand why the local news media seeks out an expert on nonprofits in order to get their take on this particular situation, but of course this expert ends up saying, look, this is kind of baffling. I mean, they took all this taxpayer money at an organization that they never disclosed had a personal relationship to the mayor, and then they just shut down operations, and by the way, they were delinquent when they received some of this money, and I just think this defies logic. And again, if you're thinking about this in a logical way where we have sensible systems in order to check for fraud and whatnot, that would make perfect sense. But there's a reason why they don't list the girlfriend of Brendan Scott on the taxpayer filings that are required. It's because they don't want you to know what's actually going on. There's a reason why they don't list where the money is going and they don't do the filings, and now that Brendan Scott is the mayor of Baltimore, because this is a money sink. This is what we would call in old English, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this word, a scam, a fraud, scam. Again, I'm saying allegedly because we don't know at this moment in time, but they're definitely in violation of what a nonprofit is supposed to do, and it's definitely incredibly sketchy that Brendan Scott had this relationship with this woman who is now his wife, and it was not revealed, and they were not receiving taxpayer money prior to his personal relationship, but then all of a sudden money gets shoveled in their direction and they shut down before they could even spend it. So where is that money? Where is that $1 million? Where is that over $100,000 in recently given taxpayer money?
Be More Empowered did not.
So they got a bunch of money, right? They shut down the organization before they provided evidence of where they're spending the money. You can, y'all know you want to, whatever, dude. You just love Brandon Scott because he's black and he's got a nice haircut, bro. fuck wherever he's spending that shit at.
Not
Just
respond
because
to
he's
questions
black and
about whether
nice
they will
haircut,
return
dude.
taxpayer money. Mrs. Scott lists on her LinkedIn that she stopped working at Be More Empowered in September, which was the same month the nonprofit announced an organizational pause and was sued for not paying rent. Attempts to reach Mrs. Scott for comment were unsuccessful. The mayor's office did not respond to the following questions. How did Be More Empowered spend its taxpayer money? Will you request that Be More Empowered returns the funds? Was it a conflict of interest for Baltimore City to send Be More Empowered money as the organization was employing Mayor Scott's partner?
So yeah, unsurprisingly, everybody involved is ghosting this situation. Brendan Scott doesn't want to answer any questions. And again, you have the expert saying, yeah, it's kind of a conflict of interest. And it's really shady that they didn't disclose this, even though, again, the whole point of being able to run this kind of scheme is that you're not disclosing it. You're hiding information. Again, you have them not be married for a significant period of time, get all this money, and then she jumps off the sinking ship right before the organization is about to shutter in order to distance herself from that and hopefully distance her husband from that.
Be More Empowered received $25,000 from the Baltimore City government in 2023 stemming from the Federal American Rescue Plan Act. In 2024, Be More Empowered received $9,950 listed for the Youth Works program, which runs under the Mayor's Office of Employment Development. The $80,000 Be More Empowered received from the Downtown Partnership came through the Boost program, which is funded through a combination of private and public money. Mayor Scott sent $1.6 million in ARPA money to Downtown Partnerships in 2022 to help back the Boost program Be More Empowered benefited from 1 year later. A spokesman for Downtown Partnership told Spotlight on Maryland that Be More Empowered spent the $80,000 in accordance with its contract, which he said he could not provide.
Christy Nome got fired? That's crazy. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
So we get a little bit of the information related to the history of this organization, how some of the money was actually directed from Mayor Brandon Scott's office himself, again, to the organization that his wife worked at, who was then his girlfriend, which they had not disclosed to the public. And then, of course, we end up with the brick wall of the lack of transparency, which, of course, is them saying, oh, don't worry about it. They fulfilled their contract with that $80,000. However, we're not going to provide you the contract. You don't get to see it. You just have to trust us on this. Believe me, we are being 100% straight up and honest with you. I mean, the organization that we're talking about is not doing its, legally required filings, and we never disclosed that Brendan Scott's then girlfriend, now wife, worked there, so that the public could know when this money was going over there. But now, at this moment in time, we're being so straight up with you. Also, you can't see the contract. You can't look at it. You can't examine it. What do you think this is? Public money from the taxpayer contracted out with a nonprofit that has disclosure agreements? No. Shut up. You don't get to look at it, and probably you're an evil white racist.
Downtown Partnership's president, Shalonda Stokes, has a salary of $317,000. Stokes' Instagram shows several photos and videos of her with Mrs. Scott, including attending a Beyonce concert together last summer in a group that also included the wife of Maryland Governor Wes Moore.
I mean, guys, come on. What do you think is actually
Both of them are corrupt, bro. Both of them.
happening here? Are you guys paying attention to what's going on? Coincidentally, the woman that is in charge of one of the related organizations is pulling in a salary, again, doing nonprofit work, doing God's work, empowering the black women's, again, the black women that are working there, not the people that they're trying to serve. She gets paid over $300,000, and she has been seen going on lavish trips on her Instagram with, of course, Brendan Scott's then girlfriend, now wife, and the wife of Governor Wes Moore. Do you guys understand the corruption and how
There's nothing wrong with a little vacation, okay? Nothing. Especially if you're a government official. I don't care about any of that shit. You can do whatever you want. Like, go on vacation if you want. I don't give a fuck.
built into the system it actually is? They're benefiting directly from the funneling of taxpayer money to supposedly help the poor blacks, but in reality, the only people that they're helping are the corrupt people who happen to be black because it's Baltimore related in the nonprofit sector. Essentially, this is Black Lives Matter all over again. We're going to find out that they're buying mansions, and the reason they're doing so is in order to secure their own safety because, oh my god, it's so dangerous being a black woman's out in the world, especially especially when you have the protection of the Baltimore police or the state troopers, like Governor Wes Moore's wife does, or Brendan Scott's wife now does. But you know what? I want to leave this up to you guys out there in the audience. Do you think that there's nothing wrong at all whatsoever? It's all good in the hood, nothing for you guys to be concerned about? Or do you think that maybe there is something for us to see, and the fact that this organization shut down completely after receiving taxpayer funds is probably kind of criminal? I don't know, or at least questionable. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.
All right. Yes, 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 yes. These people are corrupt. Okay. Do not vote for. It's so crazy, dude. Like, I don't understand how people even like think this is okay or think this is fine or whatever. This is corruption at its finest in Baltimore City and in Maryland in general. You should not vote for these people. They're sucking you dry. And you'd be like, "Oh, where are my taxes going? Skyboxes, lavish vacations, $200,000 vehicles. It's crazy. I don't have no problem with them being buddy buddy. As long as they're getting the job done, they can be buddy buddy all they want. I want the mayor and the governor be I want them to be working together, the mayor and the governor. It makes sense. Because why wouldn't you want them to marry? Playgrounds. Nah, not for me, bro. That's not enough. I don't care about the playgrounds, dude. Swimming pools, they can swim in the harbor, bro. Who cares? Tell them to swim in the harbor. But I gotta go make sure my lady's not annoyed at me, so I'm gonna get out of here. Check me out. Check me out on the YouTubes, okay? Facebook is cool, but the celebrities come to Artscape. You know they do that shit for free, dude. That's for clout. They get paid in exposure. Check me out on the YouTubes, bro. Iceman E-Boy. Go check him out. Thanks for joining, Kita. Really appreciate the conversation. You're awesome. Only person, only one that's ever supported my shit. And I really appreciate it. Thank you.